Hello humans! I'm making a game that seems to be roguelike, as if there's not enough indie roguelikes already. Anyway, there's one little roguelike feature that my game currently lacks, and that's upgrades, or like special abilities. I quite literally don't have enough upgrades in my game. I mean, I have a missile launcher and a cool dash, like look at this ghosting, and well, that's all I got. Yeah, so I'm gonna change that today. Like any sane person, I started by writing all my upgrade ideas on a marker board and taking photos after adding each word. Professional task managers might say that Trello is a better alternative, but I might say shut up. Honestly, marker board is more stylish than this digital crap. So let's take a look at these upgrades. The black ones are the abilities that will work as some type of special attack, like Elsu from Elden Ring, but more impactful. The red ones are the ultimate abilities. The parry/block speaks for itself, but you might ask, why would you need to parry when you already have a dash? And I'm glad you asked, even if you didn't. I want to give player a choice and also add more variety to gameplay, and I think that adding parry, which is a more risky yet rewarding alternative to dash, is actually a pretty good way to achieve that. Now, you might also wonder how would you get these upgrades. In most of roguelike games, upgrade is a passive ability that gives you some stat boost, increases your DPS, or improves skills that you already have. I will also have such upgrades in my game, but that's not today's topic. I'm leaning towards creating some sort of build system that would allow you to choose the abilities before each run and make a build that suits your playstyle the most. I think that Dead Cells is pretty similar in that regard, because every item in Dead Cells actually affects your gameplay. In Dead Cells, player gets enough items by the end of the run to create a solid build, but I don't believe it would work for my game, because my game is planned to be much smaller. But we'll see, I just think that the build system could be cool. Okay, now that the yaptro is done, we can finally talk about actually adding these upgrades to the game. And we'll start with Ultragun. By far it was the easiest thing I worked on. I drew the sprite, created a new projectile, adjusted some parameters, and added a new variable to determine whether the projectile gets destroyed after hitting an obstacle. I mean, a projectile this big should go through enemies, just common sense and seems pretty intuitive. Then I've added some simpler preparation before an attack with camera shake and this effect which shows that your attack is ready and you can release the button. It's basically a recolored shooting effect, but I can't draw. So now when you've come across a bunch of enemies, you can just, well, maybe it needs some balancing. Now the Railgun. I want it to be an extremely powerful weapon that disintegrates an enemy. I wrote a script that creates this laser using a raycast 2D, then I drew this lightning sprite, won't lie, it looks kinda bad, but now I can replace this white line with actual sprites. I'm calculating the number of sprites I need by dividing the length of a laser by width of a texture, and then I add the required number of sprites to the level. Now I just need to make this thing actually disintegrate an enemy. Just wiping them out of existence seems pretty dull, so I decided to add this pixel explosion shader made by a furry. Shout out to furries. I don't know anything about shaders, like they're too complicated for me, so it's really cool that I can just, copy the shader, add it to my game and get great result without any effort. It doesn't work at all. Okay, so I tried to fix it. I honestly did. Read documentation, asked the smartest person I know, and they were even worse at this than me, and that's the best I could do. And not only it looks awful, it doesn't even work correctly. That's exactly why I hate shaders. I don't understand them at all. I spent my whole day trying to make it work, tried so hard, got so far, but in the end it doesn't even matter. Okay, let's take a quick cat break. This is my cat, by the way. While I think of a solution, you can hit the like and subscribe buttons, and if you do, I'll feed my cat. You'd better do it. Anyway, no more cats. Let's work. I remember that I'm in good terms with normal coding, so I threw the shader garbage away, added my lovely CPU particle 2D node, and started to code. So the CPU particle 2D had this color initial ramp thing. Basically, it's a parameter that has a gradient information inside, so you can add as many colors as you want, and it will define the color of your particles. And you know what also has a lot of colors? Sprites. I wrote a script that takes each color from the sprite, top to bottom, and set the particles' colors to match. I also made the particles' direction change depending on the attack's position. And it looks like this. Pretty cool, huh? But not perfect. You see, currently after this quote-unquote explosion, the colors from the top of the sprite come out of the bottom, and vice versa, and I don't like it. I decided that the best way to handle it is to use 3 particle nodes instead of 1, slide the sprite in 3 parts, and use these slices to set the colors of particles. Here's the code if you want to see it. And it results in this cool effect. Let me show it to you in gameplay. Oh, you want some too? I really like this thing. By the way, later I added some particles over the sprites to make it look more appealing, and I do like the way it looks now. It doesn't look ugly anymore. Okay, let's look at the board. Mini missile launcher. What could it possibly do? It will be another special attack that shoots mini missiles without any homing ability. It is meant to be the weakest of 3 in terms of damage, but with the smallest cooldown, so it might be the ability some players would prefer. This is how mini missiles will look like. No comments, they will be small and you won't even see them behind the particles. Anyway, I wanted to add a sine wave movement to these mini rockets, cause I thought it would be cool, and it was pretty hard to implement. Not because it actually is hard, but because I'm bad at geometry. It took me some time until I got it working, but eventually I achieved this. I've added this pink trail for a better demonstration. Now let's test it on an actual level, learn that it moves too slowly, adjust frequency, amplitude. I don't know what any of this means. I just set a faster speed and tweaked these things until I got what I wanted. Now I can get rid of this pink stuff and add some CPU particles to the rockets and make it explode. You might think that these particles look pretty bad, but trust me, it seemed this way because the background has similar color. No, like, I swear that's actually true. Then I made sure that player can actually shoot these rockets and coded in several ways to do that. Not to give player a choice, I honestly don't know which one is better. I think I like the third variant as it combines the wave pattern of the first and randomness of the second, but I don't know, what do you think? Which one's better? Well, that concludes the part 1. And yeah, I broke down the upgrade devlog in 2 parts. I think that more interesting, cool, and more colorful upgrades deserve a separate video. Oh yeah, I'll try to make the next part in less than a month. That's all, bye.